So it's been a bit over 7 days now, and I can honestly say this is one of the most meaningful iPhone upgrades in years. Not because it's flashy, not because Apple reinvented the wheel, but because the changes Apple made actually matter in daily use. Before I get into the video, just a quick plug. We're almost at 70,000 subscribers. That is absolutely insane. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And if you like the wallpapers you see throughout this video, they're all from my own digital store linked below, and everything you see is 20% off for Techtember and Techtober. Now let's talk about this beast. So here's the thing about the 17 Pro Max. It doesn't scream different at first glance, but if you put it next to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you can definitely notice the changes. When you actually live with this device, when you hold it, when you shoot content with it, when you push it to its limits, you start to realize just how much better this iteration is compared to last year. It's one of those devices where the improvements aren't just about the specs, they're about the experience. And that's something Apple hasn't nailed in a really long time. Now, by far, the biggest change this year is the frame. Apple ditched titanium and went with aluminum. And at first thought, I'm like, what are they doing? This feels like a step backwards. Aluminum doesn't scream premium. It's technically weaker than titanium, it can scratch more easily, but here's where Apple nailed it. The way this phone feels. In the hands, the phone feels softer, rounder, and oddly more comfortable. It's a bit thicker and a little bit heavier, but somehow it doesn't feel really heavy. It distributes the weight differently. When I'm typing with one hand, scrolling through long feeds, or holding it during a phone call, it just feels right. And there is a major trade-off that makes aluminum worth it. Thermals. Apple finally added a proper vapor cooling chamber, and this is not just a spec on a piece of paper. This is something you'll actually notice in daily use. Just last year, I couldn't film a long 4K video on a hot summer day without my iPhone 16 Pro Max overheating. It would dim the screen, throttle the CPU, and eventually force me to stop. This year, I filmed an entire ProRes RAW sequence for YouTube on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And it did get warm, but it did not overheat. Heat actually disperses evenly across the frame, and the phone just keeps going. That makes a massive difference if you're gaming, shooting content, or even just using it heavily outdoors on a hot summer day. It's one of those upgrades that doesn't sound sexy in marketing slides, but transforms how reliable the phone actually feels in day-to-day usage. Now, we gotta talk about the elephant in the room, Scratchgate. It's been trending, and let's be real, aluminum does scratch a lot easier than titanium. There's no denying that. I've seen clips online of people running their keys across the frame and leaving some very vivid marks. But here's my honest experience. I've been using the iPhone 17 Pro Max completely caseless for the past week. No skin, no bumper, nothing. Just raw aluminum. And I carry it everywhere in my Grams 28 Moon Sling bag, pulling it in and out multiple times a day. I'm really not babying this thing, and so far not a single noticeable scratch. But that doesn't mean it won't happen down the line. Aluminum will always be softer than titanium, but at least for now the phone is holding up better than online panic might suggest. I think part of it comes down to how you use your phone. If you're tossing it into your pockets with coins and keys, yeah, you will definitely notice scuff marks a lot sooner. But if you carry it in a fanny pack or keep it separate, it seems to be doing just fine. And design-wise, this is easily one of the cleanest iPhones Apple has ever made. In fact, I will go as far as saying this is my favorite design ever. The balance of the rounded edges, slimmer bezels, and overall symmetry just feels intentional. And I might get some flack for this, but to me, this design is right up there with the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. That is high praise, because Google absolutely nailed this design. To me, Apple's decision to soften the edges is underrated. On a big phone like say the S25 Ultra, the sharp edges can dig into your palm and make the phone uncomfortable to hold for long stretches. This phone doesn't feel uncomfortable at all. It doesn't feel that slippery either. Instead, it kind of just melts into my hand in a way that almost feels invisible. It's like the design disappears and the experience of using the phone takes over. Now let's talk about software, because iOS 26 is one of the biggest reasons this phone feels completely fresh. Compared to iOS 18, this is a massive leap. Animations are smoother, customization is better, and the whole system just feels more modern. But the biggest win on an iPhone is app optimization. On Android, apps like Instagram still feel like an afterthought. Stories sometimes stutter, uploads compress weirdly, and performance just isn't as smooth. On iOS 26, on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, everything just works seamlessly. Stories look crisp, Reels upload quickly, and editing content on the go feels effortless. As a tech content creator, to me that matters. This phone isn't just about consuming content, it's about creating seamless content on the go. And to me, that is a huge W. Now let's get to the star of the show, the cameras. I'll give Apple credit where credit is due. Apple has been pushing cameras hard for years, but the iPhone 17 Pro Max finally feels like it delivers something pro. And that's mainly thanks to ProRes RAW recording. Throughout this whole week, I have shot entire Instagram Reels on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and legit the footage coming out of this thing looks like it was shot on my $5,000 Sony cinema camera. That's not hype, that's reality. If you know how to color grade, if you understand log profiles, if you use professional editing software, this phone legit becomes a filmmaking tool. And that is absolutely wild when you think about it. This is a phone, not a cinema rig, yet the files hold detail, the dynamic range is excellent, and it gives me flexibility that I've never thought I'd see from a smartphone. The selfie camera also deserves some praise. Thanks to the new square sensor and center stage, it shoots in true open gate. That means vertical and horizontal crops look fantastic. For vlogging, FaceTime calls, or even YouTube shorts, it's more flexible than ever. And across the board, the consistency is insane. All the cameras now shoot in 48 megapixel quality. No more main camera is amazing, but the ultra wide is garbage. Every individual lens holds its own. If you want a more in-depth dive on the cameras, I will link my review from last week down below, where I go even deeper into the cameras. Now, this year Apple quietly delivered one of the best displays ever put in a smartphone. The iPhone 16 Pro Max hits 3000 nits of peak brightness, but the real win here is you can actually use the brightness longer without the screen dimming, thanks to the much improved thermals. Outdoors, even under bright sunlight, this display is unbeatable. Text stays sharp, videos stay vibrant, and you never really feel like you're fighting glare. Now, we gotta talk about dynamic island, something I've been skeptical about since its debut, but it's actually grown on me. Apple refined the animations, it's actually useful for notifications like Uber deliveries, and I find myself using it way more than I expected. Now, there's also an anti-reflective coating this year, though to be honest, it's kind of subtle. It does help a bit with reflections and glare, but honestly the S25 Ultra still does it better. This phone basically erases reflections, while the iPhone just tones them down a bit. Now, at night, the screen can drop all the way down to 1 Hz, which makes the display super easy on the eyes. Scrolling social media in bed no longer feels like staring into a flashlight. Now, let's talk about the battery life, because this is where Apple shocked me the most. This is the eSIM only variant of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and this comes with a 5000 mAh battery. That is pretty big for an iPhone, and the results have been unreal. I've been consistently ending my days with 40% left, even on heavy usage days. On average, I'm hitting around 9 hours of screen on time. That's with watching YouTube, editing photos, scrolling socials, and filming a bit of video in ProRes RAW. Now, on heavier travel days with navigation, hotspot, photos, and video, it still held up without me having to scramble for a charger. This kind of battery is just unbelievable. For the first time in years, I don't think about battery life on an iPhone. Of course, no phone is perfect, and the iPhone 17 Pro Max does have some downsides. I found that wireless charging in my car makes the phone run hotter than I like. The cellular connection feels weaker than last year. In my opinion, Apple should have used the C1X modem found on the iPhone Air. It's not terrible, but when you notice drop bars in spots where your old phone held up fine, it's kind of weird. And of course, aluminum is great for thermals, but long term it will dent easier than titanium, but only time will tell. And again, this anti-reflective coating is underwhelming compared to Samsung. Now, these aren't deal breakers, but they're things that Apple could have done better. Now, here's where things get interesting. Compared to last year's iPhone 16 Pro Max, the difference is night and day. That phone for me overheated consistently, it dimmed too quickly, and the battery life was just okay. This year, those issues are gone. Now, comparing it to the Pixel 10 Pro XL, the Pixel actually has some really useful AI features, and the Pixel takes some great photos. In my opinion, a bit better than the iPhone 17 Pro Max. But the iPhone crushes it in video, performance, reliability, and app optimization. And versus the S25 Ultra, this phone still has the best zoom camera in the game and much better utility and customization. But the iPhone holds its own with a better battery, thermals, and performance. So this year, this isn't just another upgrade in Apple's bubble. This is a competitive upgrade in a wider smartphone landscape as well. Honestly, I've been quite impressed. So who should upgrade, and is it worth upgrading to? Well, that depends. If you're on an iPhone 15 Pro Max or older, yes, the difference in thermals, battery, and the cameras make it worth it. If you're a content creator and you're on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, this upgrade is honestly worth it for you. I think ProRes RAW alone justifies the price. Now, if you just use your iPhone casually, the upgrade is less urgent. Your iPhone 16 Pro Max still holds up fine. But if you're a power user, this phone feels like the first true step forward in years. So after a bit over 7 days of using the iPhone 17 Pro Max as my daily driver, here's the truth. This is by far Apple's best phone in years. It's not perfect, but the combination of design, display, thermals, cameras, and the battery life make it really hard not to recommend. For once, it feels like Apple actually listened to what the people wanted. I've reviewed iPhones for years, and I can't remember the last time I said this. It's really hard to not recommend this phone to just about anyone. My name is RJ, and that's been my honest 1 week review with the iPhone 17 Pro Max. flex. I'll have way more long-term thoughts in the coming weeks, but for now, I've been really impressed. So what do you guys think? Are you upgrading or are you sticking with what you've got? Drop your thoughts below, and if you made it this far, drop a dolphin emoji down in the comments below. I would love to know who my true supporters are. And don't forget, we're almost at 70,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. Thank you guys so much for the support. And of course, if you want to freshen up your setup, check out my wallpaper packs link below. They're 20% off for Techtember and Techtober. And don't forget to flex with your tech. This phone, bro, is kind of amazing.